What's going on, you guys? I just wanted to come today and I wanted to address the whole idea of the separation of church and state when it comes to Christians. This term, the separation of church and state, came from a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote in, I believe it was like 1802 or something like that, to the Danbury Baptist Association. And he was explaining to him or to them that he was hoping for a separation of church and state so that there would be freedom of religion and there wouldn't be laws made in respect to a certain establishment. And so we've gotten this idea in our head that as a Christian, we cannot come to the political arena, that we stay out of that, and that we just fight through prayer. And while I am in agreement that prayer is our biggest, I guess, our biggest ally, so to speak, we as Christians are called to to be the light in darkness, and we can't do that if we remain in our prayer closet. And so I wanted to encourage you to not shy away from the political arena, but to educate and inform yourself and take the time to vote. Because what's happening is that our states and our cities and our nation is becoming so inundated with evil because Christians have this mindset that I don't get involved in that. Like, we keep that separate. We don't talk about that. But this is why sin is rampant in our nation, because we as Christians have stepped back and we have allowed the secular world and those that are godless to put laws in place. And we cannot continue to do that, because if we do, we will come to a place where the Bible is outlawed, where Christianity is outlawed. And so we have to understand that we cannot win wars by sitting out the battles. We are called to fight for good and evil. Politics are no longer just about, again, making laws to govern this nation in economics. It has become a fight of good and evil. This is why now we have laws talking about abortion and assisted suicide and transgender ideologies and so forth. Like, bro, we cannot continue to sit here and sit on the sideline and say, hey, that's not for me. No, it is for you. It is for every Christian, as a woman or a man of God, to step up and to say, hey, I'm going to fight for goodness, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to educate myself and inform myself, and I'm going to vote, because this is how we begin to purge the darkness that is in our nation, because we begin to bring into the forefront God and the gospel and Christianity. Because when we begin to rise up, people begin to take notice and people begin to get a fire and a fight within them. And we just cannot continue to sit back on the sideline and say, hey, politics are not for Christians. We cannot sit back and say, hey, there's no Christian representation, and then complain about why our nation is in such peril because we continue to sit back and stay on the sideline. Guys, we cannot continue to do this. As I said, politics have become spiritual. It is no longer, again, about just the American welfare. It is about good and evil now. And if we continue to sit back on the sideline, we are going to lose this war. So I want to encourage each of you to understand, nobody's talking about you coming in here and being political and, you know what I'm saying, and campaigning and putting, attaching a flag to the back of your truck talking about America. Nobody's talking about that. We're talking about merely being informed and educating yourself, so that when you have people that are advocating for things, then you know which way to vote. And yeah, guys, sometimes there is going to be a situation where you literally have to choose between the lesser of two evils. It's not always going to be the good guy versus the bad guy. Sometimes we have to vote for the lesser of two evils. But I promise you, where you don't step in and you don't vote, someone else in the secular world will step in and vote. And guess what? thing that you sit out because you want to kind of wash your hands of that and leave it to other people, leave it to worldly people, then you will be charged with that. And I don't want to stand before God. I don't want to stand before God and know that, God, well, I don't believe in abortion, but, I didn't really mess with anybody else that did. No, I'm going to fight for the unborn baby that is human, that has rights just like us. I'm going to fight even for those moms that have had abortions and that now live with the guilt and the grief and the regret that they have because nobody told them the other side of abortion. It was merely out, most of them, it's merely out of fear of not being able to take care of their baby, or some of them, unfortunately, they just don't care. They just don't care. But I don't want to stand before God and say, hey, I didn't do it, but, I didn't say nothing to them. Bro, we cannot have that mindset. That's how sin runs rampant. So we have to get into a mindset of fighting for what is good, fighting for what is right. And yes, as I said, there are going to be times that we have to choose between the lesser of two evils. But guys, we have to get into a place of being informed and educated. We have to get into a place where we are willing to fight the good fight of faith, not just again in the church and in the prayer closet, but in the political arena, so that we can fight for goodness and for righteousness and for truth and justice. So I just want to encourage you again that if you are a Christian, it is now time to step up and to begin to get educated and know what's going on in your city and your state and in the nation, and begin to cast your vote for those things that are good, so that we can begin to fight against evil in a different way. Because as I said already, politics are no longer just about the welfare of the nation. It is literally a fight of good versus evil, and I want to be on the side of good. So I just encourage you again to get educated, to get informed, and to fight for what is right.